Today, we are talking about how to tap into your big vision. We've got a very special guest here on the show, Melanie Bundock. If you guys don't know her, she is a coach and EFT practitioner, and she helps her clients tap into their big vision. She helps them set crazy goals, and if you work with her, she guides you onto the path of achieving them through the art of visualization combined with the power of tapping. She's recognized as an authority on vision boards, holding workshops for both individual and corporate companies. And she recently launched her first online program, Tapping into Abundance. And she's now working on a book, which is amazing, Tapping into Your Big Vision. We're going to have to talk about that. And Melanie helps people clear their blocks that are standing in the way so that they can really step into being who they want to be, where they want to be. And she tries to see the good in everything, believes that dreams do come true. She's a former model and journalist based in the UK and is also a mom of two. I'm so glad that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. This is going to be so great. So for those people who maybe don't know you or aren't familiar with some of your work, how did you get started? Well, let's first even start. What is EFT?
Okay, so EFT is also known as emotional freedom technique, but it's commonly known as tapping because we use our fingertips to tap on these acupressure points on our face and our body. And I think the people who have heard about tapping, because it's called emotional freedom technique, it's great for things like anxiety, trauma, phobias, what else? Addictions, kids doing exams at school, anything where there's like an emotion base. So how I use it's a little bit different. So I've been using it for all those things for a long time, just for my own use with my children. Yeah. But it's also really good for clearing limiting beliefs and blocks and things that get in our way of where we want to go. And sometimes they're emotions like fear. Fear is a big thing that stops us from moving towards our big vision. So fear is an emotion, but also fear-based limiting beliefs as well, like fear of judgment, fear of criticism, fear of what other people think of you. And so there's all sorts of things. And when I kind of realized that there was so much more to tapping than just anxiety, it was that I thought this was how I really want to use it with my clients.
Amazing. And when did you get started using it?
So tapping. So I have always been into energy work, reflexology and Reiki, and tapping is just another form of energy work. So I actually started my therapy practice with Reiki, and then I moved to reflexology. But then I found that all my clients had emotional based stresses. So whilst it's lovely to come for a relaxing treatment, when I discovered tapping, I slowly incorporated it into my work. So at that time I was seeing a lot of women who were trying to get pregnant or helping them deal with the emotional roller coaster of pregnancy and early motherhood. And because I guess that was a phase of my life that I was in as well. But now my children are 10 and 13, and I feel like my practice is kind of, it's funny, it's evolved as my life and my family have evolved as well. So now I kind of like tell people at that crossroads, my children are a bit older now. What do I want to do with my life? What's my big vision? What do I want to do? So yeah.
Amazing. So now, do you work with a lot of entrepreneurs? Is that primarily who you've started working with now?
I think that entrepreneurs is a newer thing as I've embarked. It's really weird. Well, it's not embarked. It's just as I've embarked on my entrepreneurial journey, they're the people who I've attracted as well. But I think I don't know, am I right or wrong when I'm saying I think there's a potential entrepreneur in everyone. Yeah. But the problem is 95% of people don't do anything about it because they think their business ideas are not valid. They don't know how to get started. And it's, so what is an entrepreneur? It's, I think it's somebody who just wants to make a living doing something that they love and monetize it. And, entrepreneurs bring their passions to life. So yeah, definitely more entrepreneurs now, but definitely people who don't even realize that there's an entrepreneur in them, that they just want to get started.
Isn't that so true though? We all have that untapped potential, but that was so lame. Oh my God. I'm mad at myself for doing that. But right, but you have to be able to step into it. So let's even use this as an example. If somebody is saying, I have this idea, I'm a newer or just starting to get into entrepreneurship, how can they use tapping to help release those blocks and limiting beliefs around that they're not enough or they're crazy, or, you know, whatever those things are that often come up?
Yeah, well, I use tapping to help them to tapping into the belief in themselves, because so when we talk about limiting beliefs, you know, it's just a thought that you keep thinking. So if you keep thinking, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, or who's going to want to buy my stuff, it's, you're just going to keep getting that back. But so I'd ask, you know, so with a statement like that, I'd say, well, how true is that statement to you? And at the beginning of a round of tapping, they could say, it's true. It's, you know, 8 or 9 out of 10. And then we say, okay, let's work on clearing that belief. So we tap on that phrase. How I do it is that we tap on that belief, and people say, well, why are you tapping on such a negative statement? You know, I get them to bring it up and out. If you've got that as a belief, it's a bit like weeding the garden. You can't just go and throw in a positive affirmation, or what I call the seeds on top of a load of weeds. You've got to uproot those weeds first before you plant the positive seeds or the affirmation. So rather than saying, I believe in myself, I'm worthy and deserving, I have what it takes to be a success, you can't really plant those affirmations until you've weeded out those old ones. And tapping is just amazing for doing that.
And that's such an interesting thing that you bring up, that in your work, you really want to help people acknowledge the limiting belief or what they're working through. Because I've even noticed kind of a trend in the positivity movement that it's about, well, just don't feel those feelings, or don't be negative, and just throw more positivity and read another personal development book. So I'm curious what your thought is on that.
I think these limiting beliefs are going to come up anyway. And so the thing is a bit like decorating a house. You've got to prepare it first. You've got to take off the old paint and the wallpaper. You don't just go and slap fresh paint on an unprepared surface. So you've got to face it. You've got to bring those feelings up and out, because otherwise I think you're just numbing things. So so tapping can be used for a feel-good positivity boost. And I quite often do a round of tapping on Facebook Live on a Monday morning to tap into having an amazing week. But tapping in that way works like having an espresso, something that just to give you a real lift. And you can keep having those lifts, but ultimately, if you are still experiencing those blocks and why can't I move forwards, it's like having to go a little bit deeper. What is that thing that's keeping me stuck? And sometimes it is painful, but it's called emotional freedom technique for a reason. We go in, we uproot that, we feel it as it's coming out, and it can be quite painful. And this is when it does get a bit ugly and a bit like the tears flow. But you've got to release those old beliefs and the traumas and the root cause. But sometimes that belief, it may have come from something that happened in childhood. Say that you know your teacher said to you, you know, you're no good at art, you know, you should really drop art, focus on whatever. And you've got that belief, you know, I'm just no good because the teacher told me so. So I would very often take my client back to the incident that when they were 7 years old or 5 years old. How did that make you feel? And it's so interesting how when we go back and tap on that child feeling those feelings, because very often when we go back and relive a story, we just feel it all over again. The palpitations, the shame, the sadness, or whatever. And we're tapping on that child, releasing that emotion from where it began, and then releasing it kind of all the way into, because very often those patterns keep repeating themselves. You were told you're not good enough at the age of 7, then something else happened when you were 14, and something else happened when you were, you know, in your first job. And very often I see those patterns keep returning. So it's about interrupting that pattern, breaking the cycle so that you can move forward, you know, without that thing coming to rear its ugly head.
Yes, and I love that, breaking the pattern, like interrupting the pattern, because that's really what it is. Like, we're going to have that thing that triggers us, and if we can kind of cut it off, you know, you're rearranging kind of I'm not a neuroscientist, but essentially in the brain, you're rearranging what's being triggered, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you see that with people repeating, you know, bad relationships. And, you know, eating habits and these things that just, you know, they think they've overcome it, or they lose weight and they gain weight again. Just a pattern that needs to be broken.
Yeah, so true. So can we go through a tapping sequence to give people a little taste of what it's like?
Sure. Give me something to tap on.
Let's see. You know, it's a big one that comes up, overwhelm. And I don't know if there's something deeper underneath, but that's like people like, oh, I'm stuck. I'm so overwhelmed. That's like the surface thing that people usually come with.
Yeah, definitely. And overwhelm, I think often we kind of bring it upon ourselves to stop ourselves from moving forwards. We kind of think, you know, if I'm just going to be stuck in this busyness and drama and you know, I'm not saying people willingly attract it into their lives, but at some core level, it's a safety measure from you taking action and, you know, moving towards what you really want. So absolutely we can, you know, and, you know, we've all been there, you know, I've been there, but then I recognize it for what it is. And it's, yeah, that's a great one to tap upon. So,
fun.
So I would first ask, you know, so you're my guinea pig. You're going to tap along with me.
Okay, yay.
And imagine you are working on 1,000,001 things. And
just imagine, as
imagine
right now, right?
and you know, you're feeling a bit stressed and you've got deadlines to meet, and the thing is, all the while you're in that state of overwhelm, it's going to be hard to gain clarity on. So the thing that I'd be wanting to tap into is clarity and focus. Yeah. Okay. So I'd say, right, Jen, how overwhelmed are you feeling right now out of 10? You know, 10 being very overwhelmed and 0, well, we don't need to tap.
Yeah. Oh, let's say like an 8.
Okay, 8. All right then. And what's kind of overwhelming you?
I'm trying to think of one of my students. Okay, so yeah, like just trying to get all the things done, Facebook Lives, and figuring out how to launch and how to grow a business, all the things.
Okay.
Yeah,
all the things.
Yeah.
Okay, right. And then I'd probably ask, you know, where are you feeling that in your body right now? Can you describe it as a feeling in your body?
Yeah, in my gut, in my chest.
Okay. All right then. Okay, great. We've got enough. Let's start tapping. If we start, there is a sequence. So I'll just go through the points very quickly. We start here on the karate chop point, which is that fleshy hand under the little finger. Then where the eyebrow meets the bridge of the nose, about here, side of the eye, under the nose, the chin, collarbone, which is kind of up there, under the arm, and top of the head. And
perfect.
We just cover all those points. So, right, let's get going.
Oh, awesome. And let me just say, for anybody listening to this on the podcast, I will link up the video replay for you so that if you want to have the visuals to go along with this, you can just come back and watch the video of it and see exactly what we're doing.
And and sometimes when I'm doing audios, I would just say the point that I'm tapping on before I move to the next one.
Perfect.
So I'll do that as well. Okay, so we start off on the karate chop point. Even though I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now, I choose to love and accept myself.
I choose to love and accept myself.
Even though I've got so many things to do. And I don't know where to begin. And I'm just stuck. I choose to deeply and completely love and honor myself. Even though I'm feeling so overwhelmed right now. So many projects.
So much to do.
I don't know where to begin. I'm going round in circles. I choose to deeply and completely. Love, honor, and forgive myself. And anyone else who may be contributing to this overwhelm.
Okay,
then we go through the points. Eyebrow point. All this overwhelm. Side of the eye. I'm going round in circles. Under the eye. All this overwhelm. Under the nose. I'm just so stuck. The chin. All this overwhelm.
Collarbone.
I just don't know what to do next.
I just don't know what to do next.
Under the arm, all this overwhelm.
All this overwhelm.
Top of the head, all these projects.
All these projects.
Eyebrow, all these deadlines.
All these deadlines.
Side of the eye. I don't know where to begin.
I don't know where to begin.
Under the eye, I feel it in my gut.
I feel it in my gut.
Under the nose, I feel it in my head and shoulders.
I feel it in my head and shoulders.
Chin, I just feel so stressed.
I just feel so stressed.
Collarbone, maybe I can let it go.
Maybe I can let it go.
Under the arm, because it's not serving me any purpose.
Because it's not serving me any purpose.
Top of the head, and it's just keeping me stuck.
And it's just keeping me stuck.
Back to the eyebrow. I choose to let it go now.
I choose to let it go now.
Side of the eye, I'm releasing it now.
I'm releasing it now.
Under the eye, and I choose to feel calm.
And I choose to feel calm.
Under the nose, I choose to feel better.
I choose to feel better.
Chin, I'm letting it go now.
I'm letting it go now.
Collarbone, I'm clearing it away now.
I'm clearing it away now.
Under the arm, I'm releasing it now.
I'm releasing it now.
Top of the head, I choose to feel more clarity.
I choose to feel more clarity.
Eyebrow, I choose to feel more focused.
I choose to feel more focused.
Side of the eye, I choose to focus on just one thing.
I choose to focus on just one thing.
Under the eye, and just do it.
And just do it.
Under the nose, feeling better and better.
Feeling better and better.
Chin, feeling more and more calm.
Feeling more and more calm.
Collarbone, feeling more and more clarity.
Feeling more and more clarity.
Under the arm, feeling more and more focus.
Feeling more and more focus.
Top of the head, feeling better and better now.
Feeling better and better now.
Eyebrow, I know I can do this.
I know I can do this.
Side of the eye, I have what it takes.
I have what it takes.
Under the eye, I choose to feel motivated.
I choose to feel motivated.
Under the nose, I choose to feel inspired.
I choose to feel inspired.
Chin, I'm opening myself up to inspiration.
I'm opening myself up to inspiration.
Collarbone, and then I'll take inspired action.
And then I'll take inspired action.
Under the arm, but most importantly, top of the head, I choose to feel good.
I choose to feel good.
One last round. Letting go of any remaining overwhelm.
Letting go of any remaining overwhelm.
Side of the eye, clearing it away now.
Clearing it away now.
Under the eye, as I choose to feel better and better.
As I choose to feel better and better.
Under the nose, as I choose to feel more and more focused.
As I choose to feel more and more focused.
Chin, feeling better and better.
Feeling better and better.
Collarbone, feeling more and more positive.
Feeling more and more positive.
Under the arm, ready to take action.
Ready to take action.
Top of the head, I can do this.
I can do this.
Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Okay, so that was really quick actually. I would normally go longer than that, but just for the purposes of, being on Facebook Live, I would probably, depending on the level of overwhelm, I would probably do those first letting go bits for a bit longer. And then can you see with 3 phases? We addressed the overwhelm, then we worked on clearing it away, and then we tapped on the positive.
That was so great. I feel like even more relaxed. So with the tapping points and that specific sequence, what is there a specific, or what is the process behind that, or of how that was created?
So it was, it's a cross between acupuncture, but without the needles, because we are working on these acupressure points, which are based in traditional Chinese medicine. But it's also combined with kind of with modern day psychology and kind of CBT techniques as well. And it was, I think it was kind of, it was discovered in the 1980s by a psychologist, and he was dealing, I've forgotten his name, I just completely gone blank here. And he was working with a client who had a really long phobia of water, couldn't, get near water, couldn't wash, and was, quite a debilitating thing, having this fear of water.
Yeah.
And he was not making any progress with this client, and going around in circles. They were kind of raking over, just talking it through. And then he had a very vague awareness of Chinese medicine, and he remembered that some of these acupressure points related to fear and phobias. So he just kind of just thought, just humor me. And he said, "It's kind. Let's just talk through your phobias while we tap on some of these acupressure points." And it was clearly something that's inspired within him to try this out. And at the end of the session, the client said, "Something has shifted within me. That phobia has gone." And he's like, "Really?" And he was just as kind of like amazed as the client. And he said, "Yeah," to the point where he went into the washroom, splashed his face, and said, "It's gone." So that sparked the research, and it was kind of branched into kind of thought field therapy, and it was just slowly developed into the 80s and 90s, and there are lots of different branches of it, and people, and because it's still relatively new, people are trying it for all sorts of things. And some people say, it's a bit crazy. The first time I came across it, I thought, this is nuts, it's just bonkers. And that was like kind of nearly 10 years ago when I first came across it. But I used it, and it's great for physical symptoms as well. I use it to clear seasonal allergies and migraines, and it just worked. It was just like, but there was no, I didn't know why. Then I was just testing out my friends and family, saying, "Look, just humor me, just try it, let's try." I remember doing it on one of my best friends, and she had a migraine brewing, and I said, "Look, just tap with me." And later on I texted her and I said, "What happened? Did your headache come?" She said, "No, never came."
Wow.
I did it on my brother, who had really itchy eyes. His contact lenses were bothering him. And I said, "Let's just try tapping." And my brother said, you're like a witch or something. That's gone. And
what did you do? Yeah.
But
wow.
Using it with my children to with my son, I'll give it to do a boost of confidence before a football match, or with my daughter, or if they've got tests or exams, to let go of the nervousness and the anxiety beforehand. And oh my gosh, I could sit here for an hour and list out all the different ways it can help. The people amongst the world of tappers, they would say, literally, try it on anything. Just give it a go. You can literally try it on anything.
On anything. So for tapping into the big vision, what is it that is there a specific take that you have on how to approach that?
Okay, so whilst I am an EFT practitioner, qualified EFT practitioner, my big passion is about helping people to visualize and to manifest, work with the law of attraction, to attract the things they want into their lives. And I've been doing vision board workshops for about 5 years now. And when I first did the vision board workshops, I was tapping as well, but I never thought to combine the two. It was literally, people have read The Secret. Come on, let's all come on over. Let's make a vision board. And I'd bring
your magazines, like,
just put out mansions and swimming pools and fast cars and whatever. And that's how my vision board workshops were born. And, people were having various successes. People were saying, "Yes, I've manifested this, I've manifested that." I said, "Yes, fabulous." And I've always been, whilst, yes, I make vision boards, I am more of a, I see it in my imagination what I want. So I'm a visualizer. And that's how I've attracted some incredible things into my life. But it must have been about 2 or 3 years ago now, I had this kind of sudden shift of the way I did my workshops, that suddenly I realized that, people had to focus on their heart and soul's desires rather than these material things like the car or the house or the tropical island holiday, because I don't think that these were what people truly wanted. So I wanted to kind of go a little bit deeper and get people to access their hearts and soul's desires and make vision boards from that place, from the heart and soul. And then I found that people's vision boards are starting to look quite different. There were words like freedom and more things around creative expression, around kind of heart-centered desires. But then I also found that, so before, when people came to my vision board workshops, I kind of literally sent them away and I just waited for them to tell me about the things they manifested, which was great. But what I then thought was, actually, our emotions get in the way of our vision. We doubt our vision. We don't really believe it's going to happen. And then when we've made this vision board and, it hasn't manifested like, instantly we get impatient, which is another emotion.
Yep.
We also then, yeah, so I said about the doubt, we kind of think, well, how is any of this ever going to happen? So the doubts really creep in as well. So, and these things, the doubt, the impatience, they block the things that we want from coming to us. So doubt, impatience, fears, how, or perfect tapping material. So so people do my vision board workshop and they leave with these tapping scripts to do as often as they can, daily if possible. Spend, so I recommend wake up in the morning, look at your vision board, then do the tapping script. But then if you're having a really bad day and you feel a million miles away from your vision and you can't see how it's ever going to happen, then there's a different tapping script for that as well. So we go, because it's the only thing that blocks the things we want from coming to us is us.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
It's like literally all about learning how to get out of your own way.
Totally. But it's also enjoying the journey, because, I've had a number of people say to me, wow, what did it feel like when you achieved all your goals? And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm on my journey. I'm just enjoying the journey. If I had everything that I wanted on my board right here, right now, where's the fun in that? I'd be bored. So, but it's about enjoying, it's about feeling good every single day, regardless of where you are, appreciating, being a state of gratitude. And the more I've done this work, I've just become like a master of my own emotions, just to be aware that whatever's coming up for me that day, good or bad feelings, it's got something to teach me and something that I need to learn in that moment or that day. And sometimes if I have that bad day may extend to 2 or 3 days, and recognize it, then I just, turn off the laptop. I will go and binge watch Netflix for the day. I will do do something just fun, just to kind of get me out of this, rather than kind of trying harder and pushing to make that thing work. It's just like, right, what can I do just to make myself feel good now? That's the bit that I've recognized now. When I'm feeling bad, it's the quickest path to feeling good. Very often it involves tapping, but sometimes it might be like, just go and stick an old episode of Friends on, or meeting up with your friends, going for a lunch, or anything just to feel good. I think that's the most important thing, that we feel good.
I think it's so important. I love that you said go and binge watch some Netflix, because I can get down with some Netflix. Like sometimes I just need to unplug. But I think even in the entrepreneur space, it's like, if you're a high achiever, you don't watch TV. Because it's like frowned upon. Just be a regular person. Do what feels good to you. If it's fun to do that, do it.
Totally.
It's always nice to hear like, oh, you like to watch Friends. I think people who are newer, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm still allowed to be a real human.
Absolutely. And I don't watch TV generally, but why not?
Absolutely. It's like you gotta find the things that bring you joy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for you, what is your favorite thing that you've ever manifested from visualization? Like that you were really intentionally...
I've got 2. Can I share 2?
Yes, I would love to hear them.
Okay. So when I first stumbled upon this visualization and law of attraction thing was nearly 10 years ago. And my big vision then was to stay at home and raise my children, but also to start this, actually it wasn't even an online business, to start off my own business. And so that was my big goal, my why. I wanted to stay at home and look after my children, but I was working in a corporate career in London, and it was kind of like, well, how can I give up that salary and stay at home and look after my children? But in the meantime, I want to do these other things. So the thing that I thought to myself, right, what's the quickest path to a chunk of money? And I had this vision, and I just was, back then I was kind of into cosmic ordering.
Oh, what's that?
Wow, people don't talk about it so much now, but if you it was kind of it was like literally putting in an order and sending it to the universe.
Oh.
You write a note, and so I did. I wrote a note, I put it under my pillow, and I said to the universe, I'm ready to receive £20,000 into my life from any source, really, anywhere. I'm just open to it, because £20,000 seemed like not too greedy, like a realistic amount of money.
Reasonable, yeah.
It wasn't like millions, it wasn't the lottery. And I'm laughing about it now as I think about it. And I got myself thinking, what is the quickest path that £20,000 could come to me?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I know, I'll apply to be on a game show.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, that was all I could think of at the time. There was no like, okay, let's go launch a product or anything.
No.
I didn't know what an online business was back then. So I was always a fan of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And I remember I just had my daughter, and she's 11 this year. So I had my maternity leave. I went back to work, and I remember searching on, I don't know, was Google even around then? Must have been. So anyway, I was searching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, how to be a contestant. Anyway, they having these auditions come up. I went to the audition, and the funny thing was, during that period, I got made redundant from my job. So the universe had already answered one of my things.
Wow.
And got a great redundancy package. And anyway, so I continued. And I remember at the audition saying, you know, they're saying, why do you want to be in the show? And I said, well, look, I've just been made redundant. I really, you know, I want to stay at home and look after my children. I don't want to go back to my corporate career. I was really honest. And anyway, next day I got a call saying, you know, we loved your story. We want you to be a contestant. And anyway, long story short, I was on the show and I won £20,000.
Wow. And then you were like, I should have asked the universe for $1 million.
I did. I really did. And I'm sure the night before I tried to like change it. Change it. But I think, I don't know, from watching the show, and I guess I thought the level of general knowledge I had, for me, it was capped at 20,000.
Oh my gosh.
I limited myself.
Yeah.
Totally. If I could do that all over again, I would definitely have gone big. But I think in my realms of believability, I didn't believe that I could win any more than that. So
right. So that's where you were like vibrationally,
yeah, and that's what I'd asked for. That was the cosmic order I'd sent out. The £20,000 can come to me from anywhere. And I went back and found that note several months after, and I got chills when I saw it. It was just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. And I didn't tell anyone at that time, but this just sounds too crazy that I didn't even know that manifest was a word then. So that's one story. And then have we got time for another one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So the other story is that, so I'm really into vision boards, and my daughter, my children are into it as well. And about 3 years ago, my daughter was 8 years old at the time, and she really wanted to go to Disney World in Florida. That was her number one. Her friends were going, and she said, Mum, I just want to go to Disney World. And I would never say, you know, because it was from the UK going there, it's a pretty expensive trip. And to just go to theme parks as well, it's like, can we really justify spending that money just to go to theme parks? And I didn't say to her, look, you know, it's a bit expensive, let's limit ourselves a bit, let's go somewhere else, or let's go to Disneyland Paris, which is closer. I said, come on, let's make a vision board. I can't tell you when it's going to happen, but I promise you we'll go one day. So I always have it to hand, actually, because often I talk about it quite a lot. So this was a vision board that she made. Aww. And she wanted to go to the Harry Potter world at Universal. She wanted to swim with dolphins. And we got all these travel magazines and brochures, and, you know, got Mickey Minnie. She'd made it double-sided as well.
Just to make sure.
Just to make sure. Didn't want to waste any space. So this was her vision board, and she made that in March 2015. And I always remember that because I actually shared it on my Facebook page. I just spent an afternoon making vision boards for my daughter, and I was just kind of got into Periscope at the time, so, and I was quite into live streaming, and I would often talk about vision boards, and, you know, my daughter and I were trying to manifest this trip, and I got pretty obsessed with it. It was on my mind constantly. I was constantly, you know, looking up flights, and you know, if I went to networking events and there were people in the travel industry, I would talk, you know, any deals coming up for Disney. And so it was constantly on my mind. And even at that time, I was working with a business coach, and I was on the hot seat, and she actually said to me, she said, what are you working on? You know, what goals are you working towards? And I just said, look, I just want to make enough money to take my children to Disney World. So that was my hot seat. Can you believe that? And I felt a bit stupid and a bit like everyone's talking about, how do I make a landing page, and how do I build a really good lead magnet? I thought, I just want to take my kids to Disney World.
It's way more fun though.
Totally. So she was totally on board with it. She said, right, okay, I'm going to talk through a little visualization. And exactly the stuff I was doing myself. And I remember being with her and she said, right, you've opened up the hotel door, what are the kids doing? I said, they're really excited. They've just gone running in, they're jumping on the bed. They're so excited to be in Florida. Then another one was, we're walking through the gates of Disney, and I could feel it, I could sense it. And it was a very vivid visualization. That was it. That's my time on the hot seat. Off I go.
Wow.
So, okay. So that was later on that year. And there's so many little weird things that happen. I'd even put it in my calendar that I wanted to take the kids in April 2016. And the funny thing was, a friend of mine had a pair of tickets to go and see Tony Robbins in London in April 2016. And this was a good 10 months beforehand. And I looked at the dates and I said, do you know what? I said, I know this sounds nuts, but I've kind of made a date with the universe that I'm taking the kids to Disney World, spring break 2016. And she's like, okay then. But, no, nothing. I said, so like, Tony's just going to have to wait till the following year.
Yeah.
But I kind of set this goal for myself that I was going to have made enough money in my business so that I would be booking it as a Christmas present for the children. So in my head, I'll be telling the children on Christmas Day that we're going to be going to Disneyland. Anyway, the time got closer and I hadn't achieved the goals in my business. And, it was getting closer and closer and it didn't look like it was going to happen. And my son's birthday is on New Year's Day. And I was thinking, maybe I should just book a trip to Disneyland Paris. And so I can still say to the children, we're going to Disneyland on Ben's birthday next week. But I kind of felt like it was compromising the real goal, like my daughter's vision board of Florida. And so anyway, Christmas Day came and went and it didn't happen. And I just let it go at that point. And I was I was kind of disappointed, but I just let it go. I thought, well, do you know what? It hasn't happened. We'll let it go. And then on the 4th of January, I got a telephone call from Disney head office in the UK. And I remember it was a missed call on my mobile, and I left a listening message and said, oh, hi, it's Disney head office. Could you give us a call back on this number? And I thought, well, this is a bit weird, but I did have this funny little kind of excited feeling. Why Disney calling me? So anyway, I rang them back and I said, I don't know if you remember, a few months ago, you entered a competition at Clark's Shoe Shop, and we just wanted to let you know you've won first prize, and you've won a trip for the whole family, park passes, flights, accommodation to Disney World Orlando. And I was like, oh my God. Because I've been teaching this stuff and doing vision boards, and it was like,
I have chills.
It was nuts. It was completely nuts. I literally let it go, and 10 days later I had this phone call to say we'd won this trip. And the funny thing was that when it came to receiving our prize, they said, look, we can't guarantee the peak time holidays, so give us 2 different holiday dates and we'll do our best to accommodate you. So I said, well, oh God, it's going to be really difficult to take the children out of school. So I said, okay, my first choice are spring break. Then I chose another date in June. Anyway, Camille said, I can't believe it. It goes, but you've got the dates in April. And I was like, yes. So it was just like another double. Focus on what you want.
Yeah.
When you want it. And just be open to the universe bringing it to you in the most magical ways. So I didn't think it would come to me through a competition. I do remember entering a competition. It was just, I think I was buying shoes, saw this Mickey and Minnie, thought, oh, Mickey and Minnie, filled in my name and address, stuck it in the box, didn't think about it again. And it's funny because I had put so much attachment to earning the money in my business, but I let it go. It came in a really, and the weird thing was another family had won the trip, but for whatever reasons they couldn't take it or didn't take it, and they explained that to me. They said we had to come back to the computer and pick another name, and you're the name we picked.
Whoa, absolutely meant to be. And I love what you just said, that you wanted it to come through a specific, like through your business. Yeah. And then when you let go of that, because I had a very similar experience where I was like in a specific business model and I was like, I have to make X amount of dollars and it has to come through this for like a year. And then as soon as I shifted, all of a sudden, all these clients, and it was just, there was so much abundance because I was trying to micromanage the how.
Yes, and that's what I teach now. Just
Mm-hmm.
the how is not your job. Do not put any attachment how anything that you want is going to come to you. And that's where the tapping really does help, just to let go of that how. Letting go of the conditions that
Yeah.
in which you think that things are going to come to you, because seriously, I never thought that it could come to me through buying a pair of shoes and then winning this competition.
It was like, what's the fastest possible way that we could get everything on your list? This competition.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the funny thing, I could have won a competition to anywhere in the world,
Yeah.
but and it's so funny because my daughter was so, like, I guess because I don't want my children to limit themselves in any way, and we never use words like can't or can't afford. We just don't ever say those words, or or anything. With just no limits. Just we want something, we will find a way to make it happen. But equally, that it will come when it's ready. So let's not get impatient about it.
That's everything. How did your daughter respond when she found out that you
Oh,
guys won a trip?
they were so excited. They were really, really excited. Of course, I was squealing. I was like, oh, I think when, even though I do think of myself, yes, I can manifest the things I want. And sometimes things, come easily and quickly, and some things don't come so quickly. It's funny because I remember one of my ultimate goals is to go to Necker Island, on Richard Branson's island. And I was going to share this. So a lot of my community have seen this, but one of my friends took a photo of one of the pictures of my vision board, and she turned it into a mug for me. So we've got this vision board, Richard Branson, and underneath it says here, Mel and I love to share a cup of tea on Necker Island.
Oh my gosh.
So this is a mug that I always have to hand. Now, I think it was the year after Disney, Richard Branson had run a competition to win a trip to Necker Island. And I thought, it's in the bag. I'm there. I marked it on my calendar. I did all the things. I tapped. And I remember he was announcing it on Twitter, I think on social media. And I was there on Twitter, waiting and waiting. Anyway, I didn't get picked. I thought, what happened there then? What happened to my manifesting ninja skills? And the funny thing was, I had actually cleared that week in my I was going on holiday to France, and I'd actually arranged to come back from France a day earlier because the following day the winners were going to Necker. I had been that prepared, and I'd cleared a week in my schedule.
Yeah.
Now the funny thing was, I had a free week then. I didn't win the trip to Necker, but that was a week that my first online course was created, because I had that space to create Tapping into Abundance, which was my first online course. And because I'd set bigger goals and bigger intentions that year about how I wanted to grow my business, I think the universe had kind of heard that was really my big vision. And now you will go to Necker Island one day, but you're not going to go as a competition winner. You'll go as a mastermind member, or you'll be invited there by Richard himself, or the universe wants you to go in a more magical way. So I thought, okay, because there's sometimes reasons why we don't get what we wish for. Because
yes, and I was going to ask you, how does one, I don't know if use the word wrestle is the right word, but some people, they're like, I don't understand, I did everything right, I checked all the boxes, I stayed high vibe, and it didn't come.
Yeah, I would just say because it wasn't the right time, or there's something better to come. It's usually one of those two things.
Yeah.
A bit like my son, he really, really wanted to get picked to be in the district sports a few years ago, and for 2 years he was really disappointed because he didn't get picked. And I'd said to him, like, just visualize yourself, you're running fast, you're running really fast, you're the first in the race and you're going to be picked. Anyway, he came home, was really upset again, didn't get picked, Mum. And I said, you know what, it's just not your time, something better's going to come along. And it's hard to manage child's disappointment as well. But the funny thing was, the week that the district sports were taking place I think it was the year of the Olympics, when they were in London, and no, it wasn't. It was something around that anyway. So it was around the time of the Olympics, but they had this big event locally, and a whole load of Olympians were coming to my hometown, and they were running this other event for all the school kids in the area. And my son got picked to be kind of the lead boy to go and, you know, meet the Olympians, and he got this medal and this pack and all this fun stuff. And it was on the same day as the district sports. So I said, if you'd gone to the district sports, you would have missed out on all of this. So actually, this was way more fun, and it was just lovely for him. So yeah, and sometimes we don't know until months, maybe even years, why something turned out the way it did. Sometimes you have a big curveball in your life. Sometimes you may have a whole series of events that were just like, you know, why is this all happening to me right now? But you don't realize until way down the line, oh my gosh, I had to go through all of that for those lessons I learned that brought me to where I am now. So there's never a failure. There's never a curveball. There's never a wrong turn. It's just lessons.
So beautifully put. And I don't know, do you follow any Mike Dooley stuff?
Yes, I get his notes.
Okay, his notes from the universe. Most people don't know him by name. They know tut.com though. Yeah. I love how he puts exactly what you said. He talks about how, you know, it's when you're it's like you're in a car and you're asking the universe, bring me to California, and you're in New York, and there's an infinite number of ways that you can actually get to California, but the universe is constantly going to be not necessarily course correcting for you, but it's always looking to find the fastest possible way there. Yeah. And that might be something really intense and traumatic, that you have to go through something that big so that you can grow into the person that can handle more abundance.
Totally. Absolutely. Fully agree with that.
So yeah, it's such good stuff.
I think when you accept that, it just, I think it kind of eliminates a lot of the stress in your life. So like, say if I leave the house and I've, you know, left something behind, I've got to turn back and come back again. You know, whereas the old me 10 years ago would have been really frustrated, annoyed with myself. I thought, no, do you know what? I'm exactly where I need to be right now. And I may have missed that train, but who knows who I'll be sat next to on the next train, or who knows, you know, what will happen if it's just, you know, that film, do you remember Sliding Doors?
I don't know if I saw that.
Oh, it's a good Gwyneth Paltrow, old film, but it shows how her life would have, so she's just about to get onto a train and the train doors close, the sliding doors. Then the film goes off in two parallel lives on, oh, I've got goosebumps now thinking about it.
Oh my God, me too.
Had she have got on the train, the one direction her life would have taken, and staying on the platform, the other path, because she got on the train, she met, you know, the man of her dreams, she stayed on the platform, she stays in an unhappy relationship. It's just sometimes we're just exactly where we need to be because we don't know what is unfolding for us. So I think when you have that belief in yourself, there is no stress. Just ride the journey.
Just surrendering and trusting that it's all there for you. Ooh, goosebumps. I love this stuff so much. Okay, so this was so amazing. Where can people go to connect with you and learn more about you?
I'm all over Facebook. Facebook's my kind of home. I do send the occasional email, but Melanie Bundock, EFT is my Facebook page. I've got a group as well. It's called Tapping Into Your Big Vision. Instagram, and so melaniebundock.net is my website. So yeah,
I love it. And you have a workshop coming up as well, right?
I do.
I would love for you to share that.
So my workshop is called Create the Dream, and I teach people to make a vision board. But the thing is, as I kind of shared earlier, it kind of all clicked for me a couple of years ago, where the vision board is actually a very small part of the process. Anyone can just go and get magazines and pretty pictures and stick them on. But first, I take people through a process, getting clear on what you want first. You know, got to be crystal clear. And then we do some letting go processes. We do some clearing and releasing work before we make the space. I get people to do some decluttering before we make the vision boards. And then once we've got clear on what we want, we make them. And we do this in a private Facebook group. And so when I first tested this about 18 months ago, it was a bit of an experiment. I thought, is this even going to work, doing live streaming, doing this workshop tell people to get all the materials prepared. But it's just this amazing community, international community. I've got people who wake up at the crack of dawn in the United States, people who stay up late into the night in Australia and Asia. And it's an amazing community of people who are, for the day, just focusing on their vision. And, you know, there's loads of conversations that take place, you know, connections are formed. And then afterwards, I then give people all the tapping scripts afterwards. This is now you've made your board. It's not just hiding it away or putting it somewhere to gather dust. It's for you to have a visual reminder every day on what's important and taking the steps daily towards your goal, clearing away the doubts, the resistance, and the fears, and the how is any of this, letting go of the how. We don't, it's not our business to worry about how it's going to happen. And yeah, so it's taking place on the 13th of June, which is a new moon, and it's perfect day for new beginnings and intention setting. We do all the prep work a couple of days beforehand, so I can't even remember I'll have to put the link up later.
Yeah,
melaniebundock.net/create the dream, I think.
Yeah, we'll link it up. We'll link it up.
Yeah, we'll link it up. And it's really kind of what I used to teach at my in-person workshops. And again, it's just, again, creating more possibilities in my own business, where I've kind of limiting myself to hiring a hotel, getting people in. And I was kind of limited to people traveling, you know, within a 30, 50 mile radius of London to the workshop. But now it's kind of opened up the doors internationally, and anyone can come, and it's fun. It's really
amazing,
fun community.
I love it. Well, guys, if you want to check that out, I will definitely link up all of the details for you so you can go and connect with Melanie. Thank you so much for doing this. This was so fun. I feel like this was like just such a to the point. I feel like so many people are going to be so excited about this episode. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun. Thank you.
Do you have any last quick thoughts or words of wisdom that you want to share?
I would say just give yourself the gift of some time to kind of think about your big vision. What do you really want to be, to do, to have, to experience, to create? And just allow yourself to dream big, and just let it in. Just do it. Just do that. If you don't do anything else, just do it and see what happens.
Yes, just take a few minutes today or tomorrow, put it in the calendar, and just give yourself that space. 100%. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Amazing. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Melanie, for being here, and I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you. Bye.